Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mickelson, your host, speaking at you from Monday, June 22nd, 2026 in the space and time continuum. And this week is feeling actually really good so far. There's been a huge change just in the last 5 or so, 6 days. We're going to call this show What a Difference a Brain Makes. A quote from a very... the source is ironic. That's what I'll say. This is Donald Trump with AOC in his head because I think he's got a crush on her. But Obama's in his, living rent-free. They're having a slumber party. AOC, Obama, Biden, Kamala Harris, they're all living in Trump's brain rent-free. And Trump, by the way, shows up in the Oval Office rejuvenated because he's disappeared again for a few days. So I guess they pumped him up with some sort of energy juice that lasts less and less amount of time, by the way. But they put him in the Oval Office, and he's talking about the talks in Switzerland, which, of course, we're going to touch on that a little bit. But I do want to point out the positive energy that is coming about now against this negative energy. But anyway, he's talking about the talks in Switzerland, which are a disaster. And something compels him to say, and AOC was in Switzerland and she had never been there before. I don't know if she knows where it is. And then you have Witkoff and Jared over there, and they're, what a difference a brain makes. And again, this is the projection. This is whatever he says, it's opposite of what's true. Yeah, AOC has a brilliant brain. Witkoff and Jared, it seems like a brain is maybe missing. Maybe a hamburger brain, which of course Trump has now. He's just more and more angry whenever he does show up, and he keeps disappearing for a few days. He went to Camp David, which he hates. He loathes Camp David, but they have a very advanced hospital at Camp David for the president. So Trump goes there for the weekend. Did he go because he wanted to go? No. Anyway, also he showed signs that these talks in Switzerland, very disastrous, because Trump or somebody started posting on his Truth Social over the weekend. I'm going to put a knife in my teeth. I'm going to sneak into the place where they are. I'm going to go to the room where they are. I'm going to take that knife out of my teeth and put it so far into the heart of those negotiators and from Iran. Of course, I'm talking more articulately than he is able to, but he was threatening the lives of the negotiators. So they refused to even take a photo with J.D. Vance and Witkoff and Jared, and they, of course, refused to talk. Jared Kushner's begging them to come back and talk. So there was some sort of the deal was already a surrender. And it was funny because Macron, the leader of France, seems to be trolling Trump and saying, why don't you sign your deal, quote unquote, in Versailles? Because Trump doesn't know the history of the surrender that was signed by Germany at Versailles after World War I. And Macron's just like, this is obviously a surrender that Trump is signing. what's his name? Little Marco Rubio is standing behind, trying to not have any expression on his face, trying to show that he does not approve. I mean, it's it's a comedy show. It would be a great comedy show. So anyway, JD is begging. So Iran comes back, and then JD apparently makes even more of a surrender, lifting oil and petrol sanctions on Iran and freeing $12 billion to immediately transfer. They apparently transferred at least $6 billion, actually transferred to Iran today. Trump didn't even know. He was asked about it in this press conference in the Oval Office. He didn't even know. I got to check it. What's going on? I don't even know. He doesn't even know what's going on over there. He also didn't know. He was asked, so, Mr. President, what do you think about the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu says he won't leave Lebanon? Trump didn't know. Trump didn't know. He'll do whatever I say because he respects me. He loves me. He's very cute. I love his tight-fitting pants. Another great-looking guy, just like the head of China. A very handsome man. By the way, those reporters over there at the G7, such beautiful men. I love their tight pants. I love their lips. I love how. Yeah, he's getting more and more gay. I don't know, bi-curious or whatever, as he sinks into dementia. You know, not putting down bi-curious. You don't have to have dementia to become bi-curious, but he's, it's just, again, the hypocrisy, Anyway, I'm getting a little off on the tangent here, and I still haven't gotten to the positive part, what a difference a brain makes. I mean, I think we do need to cover the absurdities, but we also do need to start getting into the positive things. Okay, here's a positive thing that mixes with the absurdity. Talking about hamburger brain meatheads, that fighter, quote unquote, from whatever, UFC, the thing that Trump had for his birthday, the guy who yelled into a microphone because he can't help himself from being a stupid hamburger brain meathead, mush mind. He said that Michelle Obama is a man. He's losing millions of dollars in, like companies asking him to do commercials for them. He apparently got fired from the fighting agency by the other, hamburger brain meathead guy who runs that whatever it is. They tore the stadium or whatever you want to call it down, and the grass is, of course, completely dead now in the South Lawn in the ellipse. And Trump's talking about the vandals are ruining the grass, and they cut a 300-foot slit with a box cutter. Although 2 weeks ago he was saying, I saw what they're doing at the bottom of the reflection pool, and it looks like glass, and it's indestructible, beautiful, hard rubber. Nobody could ever destroy it. It'll never leak. It'll be beautiful. But now he's saying that somebody went in there with a box cutter and cut it from end to end of the reflecting pool 300 feet without getting caught. So now he's got National Guard there arresting people. We are in a dictatorship. That's a dictator. But the dictator himself doesn't know what's going on. So now again, I'm saying this to try and make you feel better, not worse. We've got to laugh at this. They are going down hard. Here's something that happened in the state of Georgia, here in the United States, because of you, the people, the power of the people. Georgia was going to redraw their lines, gerrymander their districts so that basically it would take away the local voting rights of all the black people in the state. Now, of course, they can't stop it from a statewide thing. So John Ossoff is poised to win statewide. But in Georgia, they were going to try and change the congressional districts to try and gain more Republican seats. They had it all set up. Everyone came back to town, the legislators, the state legislators, and the governor. The governor was all excited to sign this legislation that was going to be passed. They were all there, and minutes before they were all going to walk in and pass this bill and send it to the governor was very eager to get it going. They canceled. They stopped. They called it off. The special session was called off because the Republicans realized this is going to excite the Democratic voters to such a degree that they will decimate us no matter how badly we redraw these lines. That's the power of the people. The people in Colombia are rising up and scaring the crap out of the right wing there. Albania, 200,000 people on Saturday protesting this thing that we've talked about in the past for the last couple of weeks. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are trying to portray themselves as being these explorers who discovered this beautiful island. The island's part of Albania. It is basically a natural sanctuary. It's protected wildlands. And for more than 20 days now, every day, every evening, tens of thousands of protesters. On Saturday, there was over 200,000 protesters. And that was the 20-day mark. So we're more than 20 days. The people of Albania are protesting against the transnational elitists, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, who I guess she's just bored. I'd really like to take over an island. I can't do her voice. She's creepy as fuck, by the way. But this led to the people going to, there's video of them pushing these construction, like little buildings over a little cliff. I mean, people are serious. They are not afraid. And they want the prime minister and the president to resign. And the European Parliament, so Albania, the guy who's now the prime minister, who changed the rules so that Ivanka and Jared Kushner could open up this elitist 10,000 bed unaffordable lodging so that they can start another Epstein Island out there. He got in because he was going to try and make Albania part of the European Union. But the European Parliament, who heads up the European Union, said, you know what? This is great that these people are doing this. If this guy, I mean, you got to get rid of this Jared Kushner thing and this Ivanka Trump thing, or you're not going to get into the European Union. And it's really promising that the people of Albania are rising up and fighting against this transnational elitism. It is now dubbed the Flamingo Revolution because that island is a refuge for pink flamingos that are very prominent in that part of the Mediterranean. So how beautiful is that? That's the people. And that's going on in the United States too, right down to the state of Georgia, having enough Republican state legislators turn against the special session where they were going to redraw the lines, turn against the governor of Georgia. And there are elections going on in Georgia, and all of the elections that are going on right now are really proving to be Democratic over turnout. That's what's going on in these primary elections. The Republicans are not turning out the way they normally do. Only the craziest of the crazies are, and that's why some of Trump's people are winning, although some of his people are not winning. In Iowa right now, the guy running for, is it a Senate seat? I should have wrote this down. He's ahead of the Republican. This is in Iowa. Alabama is having trouble. The Republican Party is having trouble in Alabama. I mean, it's getting crazy in a good way, and we're seeing signs of possibly a new leadership arising in the country of the United States. And we're going to talk about that after we take a short break. You're listening to A Satellite View. We'll be right back. We're back on A Satellite View. Find our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com. Go to YouTube and search for Satellite View Podcast. Sign up to subscribe to the channel. It's free. And push like on the videos. You can see this show on video. What else? At Todd Mickelson on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and at Mickelson Politics on Facebook. You can find the Satellite View page on Facebook there, where we're having quite an immense amount of views on a lot of our clips that we're putting out. We're spreading the word. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to notice things that are not being talked about in the regular media, and we're also trying to keep it together. Keep together so we can keep it together. We're not going to go crazy. We're not going to give them our fear. That's what they want. Now, them trying to purvey their fear has turned into a comedy act, so we're pretty much laughing at it. Now, this is something that I thought was quite amazing. Trump said that Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of Britain, was going to resign, and Trump put that out yesterday, and it was kind of weird. Everyone was talking about it. It was kind of weird. And then sure enough, Starmer did resign today. But everybody was talking about it. I heard on MSNBC, they're talking about it because he's another victim of Brexit, which nobody's been talking about. Now, what I had heard yesterday was this was happening because of a completely different reason, all right? The enormous tranche of more than 3 million emails and other documents, photos, and videos released by the Justice Department on January 30th in the United States have created a minor headache in the White House, but a major crisis in Whitehall. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is under immense pressure to explain why he appointed longtime labor insider Peter Mandelson as Britain's ambassador to the U.S., despite knowing Mandelson continued to consort with Jeffrey Epstein after Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida in 2008 to charges including soliciting prostitution from someone under the age of 18 years old. Starmer's chief of staff, Morgan McSweeney, resigned on Sunday, yesterday, taking full responsibility for advising Starmer to appoint Mandelson. It was only a few days ago that the Prime Minister said he still had confidence in McSweeney, who is often credited as the brains behind the Labour Party landslide victory in 2024. Now Starmer is without his most senior and essential political advisor amid the most politically dangerous crisis the government has faced so far. On Thursday, Starmer made a public apology to Epstein's victims for having believed Mandelson's lies and agreed to release the vetting reports around Mandelson's ambassadorial appointment. On the same day, 50% of YouGov respondents said the Prime Minister should resign, including 37% of his own voters. Yet on MSNBC today, they said he resigned because of Brexit, which happened 10 years ago. It's still going on now, but I mean, it was passed 10 years ago, and it was implemented 5 years ago. And it's showing big economic problems in England, but Why is the United States media covering for pedophiles? Right down to MSNBC, which is now called MS Now. Why are they changing that story from one thing to another? That is quite disturbing to me. Now, here's something going on in Russia right now. Ukraine is kicking their ass. Moscow is on fire all over the place. In Crimea, Russia annexed Crimea in, 2014. So in the Russian-occupied part of Crimea, they have fully suspended fuel sales to the public. Gas stations now supplying exclusively to emergency and government services. Here is Anna from Ukraine.
Hello guys, and today when I have read the words of the head of the Ukrainian drone troops, Robert Brody, also known as Madar, I have realized something big is coming to Crimea. He was actually addressing the Ukrainian citizens who are now forced to live on this temporarily occupied by Russia territory, and he was asking them to be careful. He was saying he is sorry for the inconveniences that they are already experiencing or can experience in the future, and advised them to store some products. During these months, we've been observing how the Ukrainian drone operators, together with other kinds of troops, were destroying the invaders' logistics and air defense on the peninsula. It all began, first of all, with the Russian Black Sea Fleet escaping from the peninsula to Novorossiysk because they were unable to continue any operations in Crimea. Then we started neutralizing their air defense, and a lot of observers were actually saying that our peninsula is totally impossible for the Russian air defense, because the moment they bring a system, a radar, it is wiped out by Ukrainian drones, and actually we destroyed a lot of systems. Now you observe this shortage all over the Russian Federation because they keep missing the visits of the Ukrainian drones. Then oil refineries totally destroyed, leading to gasoline crisis and, most importantly, serious problems with logistics for the Russian invaders. And they could not solve this problem by using alternative ways, like highways connecting Crimea with Russia or bridges, because the majority of them were either by the control of the Ukrainian drones or destroyed, as the bridges connecting mainland Ukraine with Crimea. And the only one left is Kerch Bridge, or the Crimean Bridge, which to a great extent is a symbol of the annexation of peninsula. It was personally opened by Putin in 2018, and right now seems can be personally closed by Madar in the coming months. And today's operation, which involved the attacks on ferries bringing some gasoline to the peninsula, involved operations on both sides of the Kerch Bridge, which sounds very promising. So let's have a closer look what is happening in Crimea right now and why this seems very optimistic from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, subscribe and do share these videos to spread the truth, demonstrate your solidarity, and witness Putin's collapse together.
That's Anna from Ukraine, and she put it all in a short synopsis there that has been being reported on the alternative media in the United States, not on MS Now or NBC or CBS or ABC or Fox or blah, 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 blah. Midas Touch Network, Ben Meiselas, covered everything that Anna just said to us here. The Ukraine has blown up the 3 main ferry boats that carry tanks and oil and gas back and forth to Crimea from the mainland of Russia. Crimea is about to be retaken by Ukraine. They are really picking up. They've got new drones. Zelensky is talking about these new drones and how they can fly almost 3,000 kilometers. They're going all the way to Moscow, and they're blowing the crap out of it. Oil refineries, that they are decimating the military of Russia. And because it's now in Moscow where everyone can see it, Putin's propaganda machine is not working because people are seeing it with their own eyes. Now we're going to go into the other side of the brain. What a difference a brain makes. What a difference a brain makes. The collapse of Trump and his administration. Right down, J.D. Vance is collapsing. Marco Rubio is collapsing. In polling and everything, they're going down hard. They're going down hard. It's almost hard to watch. Wow, I feel a little bad for him. Not me. Not me. What has emerged over this last week? Now, you probably did hear about the huge celebration that went on Friday, Juneteenth, over the Obama Presidential Library, but it's called the Presidential Center, the Obama Presidential Center, not library. It's actually a public library, and it's not focused on Barack Obama so much. So, I mean, you get all that. I've been to the JFK Presidential Library, and, you know, it's mostly about his time as president. You get that, but you also get a lot of just community. People can go there and play basketball. There's a performing arts studio. There's all kinds of things. There's open air for public. They want the public to enjoy it. They want the public to go have picnics and talk to each other and just hang out. And it sounds pretty amazing, and I don't know if you heard any of what was going on Friday, but it was. I was in tears. I was driving in my car listening to it. I wasn't even watching it, and I was in tears. It was pretty incredible. And I noticed this being said. Now, a couple days before this, I heard somebody else say something. And then when Barack Obama himself said this as part of his speech, my ears were pricked up, right? I mean, so this is Barack Obama in his speech.
The exhibits in the center are not meant to evoke nostalgia for some gauzy bygone era, some unattainable past that we can dream about and say, oh, we miss you, Barack. They're meant to remind us of who we can be, to remind us of what's possible, so we can forge ahead, clear-eyed and confident, and do the work that still needs to be done.
All right, keep that in mind, and remember the word nostalgia. Here is somebody else who spoke, I think, 2 days earlier at a forum.
What people are telling me includes that they want to believe in systems, and they've lost trust in those systems. What I hear a lot is that people know that at the end of this administration, there will be a lot of debris. I tell them often, I can't guarantee that it won't get worse before it gets better. But the one thing I do know is at the end of it, there will be a lot of debris, and it would be irresponsible to then address that in a way that we only talk about what should we do, what do we need to do to rebuild, if we do that with any sense of nostalgia. That would be irresponsible. Because the reality is, even before, there were many things that were not working for a lot of people. The status quo is not working for a lot of people. And what the people are telling us is that they want things to be better. And in some places, what that sounds like is we want that to be broken. But they don't actually necessarily mean break it through destruction. But they do mean it has to be better. And I think the people are right. One of the things I think about in the context of the future is Gen Z. I love Gen Z. They are In the United States, I'm not sure about here in Austria, they are a larger population than baby boomers demographically. They are between the age of about 13 and 28. They have only known the climate crisis. They experienced a pandemic where they lost significant portions of their education and socialization. And the thing I love about this generation, they are so beautifully impatient. They are not waiting for us to figure it out. And if we think about, as we invest in the future of our world and we are unstoppable, if we think about investing in that generation, knowing, for example, that someone who is 20 years old today, based on all actuarials, will live to be about 100. Policymakers among us, let's think about what are we doing right now that for the next 8 decades of their life will plant the seeds for the majority of the life they have yet to live. That gives me a great deal of optimism about what we are capable of doing if we think that way.
So that is forward-looking by both Barack Obama and his new presidential center and President Kamala Harris, who won the 2024 election but was disallowed to be the president. And instead, she's been going around talking to Americans all over the country for the last 2 years. 2 years, because starting with her campaign. But when she was first running for president, she was also the vice president. She couldn't go against anything that Biden was doing. She couldn't go against Israel and what Israel was doing in Gaza. She couldn't say that that was wrong. Now she's been out there learning from us, from you, and from me, people all over the country. This is what she's learned. She's learned more about Gen Z. My daughter is part of Gen Z. Kamala Harris has learned the same thing, it sounds like to me, that I've learned by having a daughter who's part of Gen Z. Says many of the same things that Kamala just said. The impatience with our generation trying to figure it out. I ask my daughter for advice. I don't try and tell her what's going on. I ask her what's going on. And that's what Kamala Harris sounds like she's doing now. Barack Obama's been doing that. Did you hear the word nostalgia? We cannot rebuild anything with nostalgia. Obama did not build his presidential center with nostalgia in mind. We're done with nostalgia. All right? Aerosmith was cool in 1977, but they all had horrible drug problems and they were very unhappy. They all had horrible relationships going on, bad marriages. You know, when you really find out, years later, you see interviews of all these kind of people. I'm just using Aerosmith as an example because I've seen this with tons of people that were admired, and we all thought they had a perfect life back in the day when everything was cool and good and fun. They were miserable. It was not good. Nostalgia. Be careful with it. It's seductive. Nostalgia is seductive. And usually when you need to be seduced, there's something bad around the corner. You should be going into it without needing to be seduced. Nostalgia is seduction, and I have been seduced. It was really fun, but always something bad came around the corner. Made me admit that wasn't worth it. Be careful with nostalgia. We're being warned by our two most prominent leaders in this country about nostalgia in those clips. Kamala, is she back? Barack Obama, is there a new White House in South Chicago? Because the White House in Washington, D.C. is in shambles. The new quote-unquote presidential center in the south side of Chicago sounds like it's there for the people. whereas the White House in Washington, D.C. is there for the dictator, all dressed up in cheap plastic painted gold and tacked or glued to the walls. It's become a gross place for a dictator to make a dementia-addled dictator happy. Anyway, all right. Went way over time, but I hope that you were entertained by listening to Kamala for a little while. And thank you also to Anna from Ukraine. Look up Anna from Ukraine on YouTube, and you can find out more about how Ukraine is kicking Russia's ass and Putin is losing control. He no longer can do his propaganda because the people are seeing for themselves. He's losing the people around him. It's going badly for him, it's going badly for Netanyahu, and it's going very badly for Donald Trump. The three-tier axis of evil. This week, the contrast between Trump's absurdity getting more intense and the uprising of both Barack Obama and Kamala Harris and the incredible events of Friday of the opening of the Obama Presidential Center. Pretty incredible. I got to say, I'm feeling really optimistic. But also remember what Kamala said, can't say that it's not going to get worse before it gets better. On the other side of it, we're going to clear the debris. We're going to make a better place, not built off of nostalgia. Think about what you want that to be. Think about how we can make the world a better place, because that's what we're going to be doing. If it gets worse, even this week, hang in there. Let's stick together. Remember, we're all together. Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, all these incredible people, Kamala Harris, AOC, all these incredible people are here with us. They are thoughtful of what's going on. They also say, nobody's coming to save us. It's up to us, because they're including us in the same group that they are. Barack Obama considers you and me an equal to him. So does Kamala Harris. So do these other great new leaders emerging. You know, the other side is a cornered animal. It could get nasty. But hang in there and remember, we're all sticking together. Thank you to the people of Albania, the people of Colombia, the people in the United States, also other countries, Germany, so many people out on the streets scaring the fuck out of the oligarchs and the dictators, making them step aside and step down. The state of Georgia, the Republican Party, stepped aside and stepped down from what they were trying to do because of the power of the people of the state of Georgia. So let's keep it up. Let's keep the pressure up. Let's stick together. Don't give them your fear. Thank you so much for being here with me. I will be here with you again next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mickelson. Go to toddmickelson.com for links and more information.